Hey y'all, Haley here with How to Haley, and today I am so excited to share with you my latest home improvement project, this DIY shiplap wall behind me. And no, this isn't just some regular shiplap that you go pick up at the store and throw up on your wall. That stuff was too expensive with the recent, or not so recent, lumber prices. I had to come up with some creative ideas to get the shiplap in my house without breaking the bank. I also had a couple unique considerations for my house, which was that this wall does not have a good way to end cap at the edges. And I wanted to make sure when you're looking at it from a side profile, it wasn't like a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch thick of shiplap that makes you go, wow, there's gaps in your wall. Instead, I found a solution that was very easy to do, required very minimal tools, kind of, you'll see why. But it was a whopping $15 to do this wall. That's incredible. So let's get into it. So first of all, let's talk about supplies. Obviously, you'll need your shiplap, and being the DIY cheapskate that I am, you know I was not going to pay for traditional shiplap. Instead, I use this really inexpensive trick. I was able to get a 4x8 sheet of MDF, about 1/8 of an inch thick, for less than $15 at my local Home Depot. I had them cut it down to 12 inches, and then a friend of mine with a travel table saw cut it down the rest of the way to 6-inch strips. We did a similar thing when we redid my parents' kitchen and we needed some toe kicks, and it worked great. So I figured, why not try that for shiplap? So here's what these boards look like cut down. They're super ugly, but don't worry, we'll paint it. And then you're gonna need some sandpaper to just run it along the edges to get off any rough saw cuts. Obviously a tape measure, duh. So I cut these down to 71 1/4 inches. My wall is 71. I'd rather have a little bit extra that I can sand off easily versus, since I know my wall is not true, versus having a gap, okay? And then you'll need your affixation tools. So I've got some liquid nails, and then I have my Ryobi Airstrike. You guys, if you are doing any DIY, you need this thing. Oh my goodness, it is a game changer. No more hauling a heavy portable air compressor or hauling the tube of an actual air compressor throughout the house or using a nail and hammer to put up trim, because that is annoying. This is, I forget the gauge, but it's like 24 gauge, something like that. And it's a pin nailer. So it's itty bitty teeny tiny finish nails. You just throw the battery in, make sure you've got nails in there, and you are ready to strike. So highly recommend this. This is Ryobi. This was the cheapest one that I found, probably through Home Depot, and I think it was less than 200, and I have used it on countless projects in my house. So if you're looking for an excuse to get tools, like I always look for, you want this one. And then some obvious additional things, like I said, tape measure, scissors, pliers, you'll need a utility knife and something square. I have an actual square. And whatever you would like to use for your spacer. Traditional shiplap, it's called a nickel space, I think is what it's called. So you can use legitimate nickels. I'm actually just gonna do it, space the width or the thickness of these boards, and I'll show you how to do that when I get into it. So first thing you're going to do after you've cut these down is just run your sandpaper along the sawn edges to smooth those out, which will make the painting process and the overall boards look much cleaner. Now that we have our edges sanded, we are ready for the fun part, which is putting this on the wall. To the future owners of this house, I'm sorry for what I'm about to do next. Hopefully you like the shiplap and never have to take it down. So I'm going to take our liquid nails. We're going to do a bead across the whole piece, put that on the wall. I'm going to keep everything flush with my cabinet side of this wall, because I can more easily sand off excess on my living room side. So we're gonna put this on one piece at a time using our liquid nails, and then once we have it right where we want it, I'm going to go back through with the brad nailer and affix that piece into place. And then I will lay the new piece, the next piece on top of it, using my excess as my spacer, and continue all the way up. When we get to the light switch, I'll show you how to do that next. All right, row 1 is on, and I was totally planning on using the back side of this board as the front, so it had an even more even coat, but I already spaced. So we're going like this. We are already going to run into the light switch. So what I'm going to do is take my next board, line it up flush on the left side, mark where my light is, where the vertical alignment of the light switch is, and then I put a line on the wall where the horizontal alignment is. I'm going to measure down from the wall to the bottom of the switch plate and translate that measurement onto here and draw a nice box. All right, I've got my box, and now I'm going to use my square and my box cutters to help me chop out this section. You could also use, I don't remember what it's called. So growing up, when I needed a tool and I didn't know the name, I would just make the sound and movement that it does. So it's a tool that goes, it's like an oscillating saw. I have one, I'll go grab it and show you. This thing, an oscillating multi-tool. I actually wasn't too far off. Anyway, you could use this as well if you have a lot of cuts to do. So I'm gonna first try it with the box cutter to see, or the utility knife to see if that's helpful, so you guys know what to do at home, learn from my mistakes. This will be the last resort. And for safety of my counter and everything else, I'm going to use one of my scrap pieces as my surface that I'm making the cuts on. All right, so the utility knife worked really well. I mean, this is basically like really dense cardboard, so I would have been surprised if it didn't work. So got that cut, cleaned up the edges. We're gonna test fit it and see if I need to cut off any more in the depth, and then we'll put it on the wall. So the test fit worked great. I'm gonna grab an extra piece as my spacer, put it between the two boards, stick this on, line it up, and nail it. Okay, so I've got this board kind of put on, and I decided I do not like the spacing that using the excess pieces provided. So I'm going to do nickel spacing. I can't find any nickels. So I have a Super Mario coin from my husband that is going to be our spacer. So I just pulled the piece down since the liquid nails is still wet, pulled out my pin nails, and I'm going to start again with my Mario coin spacer. All right, nice, that worked great. I just took the coin, ran it between the two boards, and would leave it in place while I nailed this into place. So now I'm going to continue the rest of the way up the wall. I am going to have to do another cut around the outlet, and I'll just repeat the same process that I did with the box cutter. All right, y'all, so I've got all of my shiplap up. It was a very quick, easy process. Maybe took me 30 minutes. Along the top, I needed about 1.5 inch strip. And I used a similar method as when I did the outlet cover of using a utility knife and just slicing an extra piece of board into the length I need. I also had to piece together three scrap boards to do the top, but since it's gonna get painted, nobody will see the seams. Next, we have to, I'm gonna just go through and sand the sides so that it's all one, good length. I don't know the word I'm looking for. Anyway, I put some painter's tape down to protect the wall. I'm gonna sand down the side, and then I'm gonna get painting. All right, so for paint, I'm using Sherwin-Williams multi-purpose latex primer. And then I'll probably do 1, maybe 2 coats of that. And then the top coat is the Sherwin-Williams Emerald Interior Acrylic Latex in satin. This is what we just painted our kitchen cabinets with, and it's beautiful. This is the color Snowbound. It's like the perfect white, not too bright, doesn't pull yellow, doesn't pull blue. It looks incredible in our space. So like I said, I'll probably do 2 coats of each. We'll see. The brush I'm using is a Worcester Shortcut. It's got a nice silicone nub handle, an angle, and it's a pretty thick brush. This is what I use anytime I paint. Gives me a lot of control, and I can usually cut in without any taping using this brush. As you're going through and filling in all of our cracks between the shiplap, you want to get enough paint on your brush to work it in there and get both the wall and the edges of our faux shiplap. And then you want to work it out the sides here and fan it out so we don't have any brush strokes when we go back through and roll. You'll also want to make sure after you've done a row that you run your brush through that crack again, just to make sure you don't have any globs of paint that'll ruin your look. Oh, and you also want to make sure, there's a lot of things to remember with painting apparently. You also want to make sure you paint the edges so that our faux shiplap MDF does not show and give away its secret. So there you have it. A fun, easy, quick, like 1-day project from start to finish. I am in love with how it turned out. I've always wanted my own little piece of shiplap, but with our weird kitchen cabinets and all these drop-down soffits in this house, it just was too many lines to make it work. But we've replaced the cabinets, and so now the shiplap could go up, and I am so in love that I've been wandering around the house wondering, where else can I put this? Because it was so cheap and so easy and looks so good. Because if you give a girl some shiplap, you better be prepared for it to go everywhere. Anyway, let me know what you think below. Please like and subscribe. Let me know what other projects of my crazy things that I'm always doing that you would like to see. And until then, I hope you have a wonderful and creative day.